right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have an incredible show for you. We have a special guest, and of course, we have live calls. So stick around. It won't get better than this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. Nordvpn is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. I can live some more. Only man that I adore. Once for a crown of thorns. Gave his only son for me. Just so I can live some more. Only man that I adore. Once for a crown of thorns. Gave his only son for me. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we have a packed show, so if you are new here, remember you can always go to our website over on marfooglenews.com and find a full bibliography of all of our sources. It is very easily organized by thumbnail. You'll just look for man-made ? And then, of course, once you see what could have done this, click on that. It will actually bring you to a full list of sources that we used, every single article, picture, tweet, document, of course, archived document. It will be there. That way you can see exactly where we are getting this information from, and you can go back retrospectively and read. If we only hit the headline, you can actually read the rest of it. If there's more information that we can't talk about, of course, it will be on the website. There's also the overflow/web content. We're trying to work inside of a 2-hour section, so not all of it makes it in. Some of the sensitive stuff and other things go down in that section, so make sure to go down and check that out. There's an entire other section of news down there, so make sure not to miss it. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So just a quick reminder, and I think something was, let me just make sure everything is good. Okay, so by the way, thank you everybody that has already piled in. Thank you everybody that has been going over to the main channel and watching those videos. Thank you for just everybody piling over there and watching all the important updates. I will most likely be doing a video after this show, a short one just talking about what is going on, and basically getting a short video out talking about a couple things that are very, very important in today's show. Today, we're going to cover much more important things than what is on the thumbnail. In fact, there are some pretty serious things, and if it's not obvious to most people by now that we are heading into a conflict time, then I don't know what is going to make them really wake up. Also, a reminder, AP, Alaska Prepper, will not be on for 7 days. Just a quick reminder to you guys, he is in jail, so make sure to go and make sure to be patient and check back in 7 days if you are wondering what happened.
YT jail.
Yes, YT jail. Thank you. And then a mysterious bright light was seen streaking across the sky overnight, but what was it? Again, a lot of, in fact, Foogle fam members, some of our Foogle family members from Texas ended up seeing this as well. It says, our dark sky was lit up overnight with what appeared to be a bright light streaking across the night sky. People throughout Texas up into Indiana reported seeing this streak of light, a suspected fireball. If you were up late Sunday night, you might have seen one as well. It says that video was captured from a KPRC2 viewer's home security system at a Magnolia residence at 10:23 p.m. In the video, you can see the fireball appear to the top left of the screen, followed by a flash before it continues to streak across the night sky. It says the photo was by Beth Wilson, and of course it says that
The trajectory shows the fireball entered the atmosphere over Cistern, Texas. Its flight ended just a few miles west of Austin. And again, people along that flight path say that they heard a delayed sonic boom. So quick question, though, too, is I would love for anyone who ended up seeing that, or make sure to check the time, just to reiterate the time on this. If you live in that area in Texas, please check your Ring doorbells and other things and see if you have spotted that. It was again at 10:23 p.m. local time on last night. So make sure to go check and then send us the video. You can go to marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. Dex, could you upload? Can we get a couple screenshots? Unfortunately, it did not load in the article. And then
yeah, let me see what I can find.
And then we'll touch back on that. So we do have
the videos on our website in the article,
and we
for
will.
Those that want to see it.
Yes, and we will make sure to get a screenshot of it so you guys could see exactly what we're talking about. Also, other Foogle family members, 2 of them that saw it but did not get it on videotape, they thought it was a UFO. That's what they reported it to us as. So, again, I'm curious to see if there's any other angles. That sonic boom scared the crap out of people. And anytime you hear a sonic boom of any kind, it makes you wonder, especially in the times that we're in now. Speaking of which, this is one of the things I will most likely talk about right after this, and that is because it is very clear what is happening here, and if you've followed my show, you would see all of these little tiny steps are now equaling essentially a complete divide between not only us in our own country, inside of our country, but divides in every country across the planet. And then also divides in countries themselves. Of course, now there's all of these alliances being, put into place. Of course, NATO, and then some of the Asian alliances and things that are basically dividing. Well, now Vlad is to quit the ISS. And of course, Vlad's country is to quit ISS after 2024 as Kremlin reveals plot to build rival space station. Which, I mean, it's not exactly a surprise, but at the same time, before, it was like they were all sharing something under this guise that in space was this whole reason of, space is for peace. And all of space was, they had a peace treaty that, they wouldn't do anything bad up there, that it was just for the exploration of humans and this and that. But then, of course, last year, we got the announcement, and it might have even been 2020, which is crazy. We're in 2022 already. CV started in 2019, which is just insane that 3 years has flown by that quick. But in about a year and a half ago, the DOD went out, and I want to say it wasn't John Kirby, it was the other gentleman that was in charge of DOD, did a press conference and said that the space has been weaponized. They went into specific details. They basically said, that Xi and Vlad have weaponized space. And that was also in that same speech, they essentially admitted to and confirmed 100% of the technology of direct energy. Before that, it was like fringe. I mean, if you talked about it, there were people that actually got knocked off for even basically talking about directed and, of course, energy, which now is confirmed, and now it's a huge part of stuff. So, and then, of course, China, they ended up making their own space station, and now the Kremlin. So if you're not paying attention, it probably wouldn't look like anything's happening, but it definitely looks like something big is going on here. It says Vlad has said it will opt out of being a part of the International Space Station after 2024. The country's space chief confirmed the move and said that Vlad will focus on building its own station instead. Yuri Borisov, the new leader of the state-controlled space corporation Roscosmos, said during a meeting with Vlad that Roscosmos will fulfill all its upstanding obligations. And it said, Borisov said the decision to leave the station after 2024 has been made. And as you know, like, that's not far away whatsoever. And it's kind of a crazy year as far as everything is predicted for 2024 and 2025. As far as them leaving, that is not too far away. We know how fast it's been since just 2019, and that's been 3 years. This isn't about a year and a half or even less. It's a little bit over a year. So we will see what happens there. Hold on here. There we go. Sorry, my sound is cutting out every which way. Dex, by the way, Dex will be on the phones. It is over at 224-400 Marf. If you want to call in on this or any other story, I'd highly recommend getting in early. Dex is on the phones tonight. The number is scrolling on the black bar below me. Let's see here, though. Shoot. There we go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Sorry, guys. You know when... Oh, goodness gracious. Hello. All right. Now I've... So I have a 3.5 millimeter and an adapter to go into my mixer with those big fat ones. And I think that everyone understands the hell of when a 3.5 millimeter jack starts going bad, then you have to twist it to get both ears going. Oh, that is the most annoying thing in the world. Either way, this should let people know Vlad is going to have his own space station. Xi is going to have his own space station. And then, of course, you have the U.S. and then its allies having its own space station. The world is divided right now, and it's on a huge scale. Now they can do all of the sorts of space experiments they want on their own platforms and not worry about anything leaking out to the other countries. Xi says to be making a multi-mile long space station. They're talking big, like big, a huge space station that multiple people will live on, that they're going crazy with it. And then they say by 2026, which we've covered, there are big companies putting a ton of money and actually getting all of the paperwork done to have space hotels. So the rich and elite will be able to fly up to this, part of the atmosphere or wherever it is that they start floating and go up to these space hotels. Now, I know that there are some that won't believe that will ever happen. I would ask you guys, do you think, I guess it's all going to, since all of these companies are putting billions of dollars in it, do you think that everything will fall apart before that even happens? Will they say, oh, sorry, we can't do it because of all the nukes that went off or something? I don't know. But I do know is if we live another 4 or 5 years, we're supposed to be seeing space hotels floating in the sky. This is an insane time to live in. Give me a call about this or any of the other stories at 224-400-MARF. That's again 224-400-6273. NASA is planning to find aliens using space-time warped around the sun. It says a solar gravitational lens, or SLG mission, offers capabilities that are unmatched for detecting extraterrestrial life, according to a study. Abstract breaks down mind-bending scientific research, and it says that what if we glimpsed an alien life for the first time by peering through a natural telescope made by the sun's gravity. This wild idea, known as solar gravitational lens, may sound like an Einsteinian fever dream, but scientists have now found that it is a feasible thing to do with technologies that are either extant or in active development. So what they're saying is currently there are things that are in development or things that are very close to happening that will actually make this possible. It says the SGL mission could zoom in to see surface features of exoplanets on scales of just tens of miles, which could provide smoking bang-bang evidence of extraterrestrial life. It's no wonder, then, that scientists have speculated about a potential SGL mission for decades. In 2020, NASA funded an investigation into the feasibility of the mission as a part of its Innovative Advanced Concepts program. Researchers led by Henry Halavigian and senior scientists in the physical science laboratories at the nonprofit Research Center for the Aerospace Corporation have now shared the initial results of this ongoing NIAC study on the preprint server Axurv. Basically what they found, again, and it's not peer-reviewed yet, but that it's right here, that the stuff there to do this is available. And because of that, now there's actual talk of it being done. So it would be a huge deal if they ended up doing something like this. As they've said, they've talked about it for decades, but there was never, they didn't think they thought it was way farther out if it was possible or not even feasible because they didn't have the smaller things or the smaller parts of it done. Now we have the technology, the chip size and everything else to be able to make this kind of technology. We are, again, living in crazy times. But who knows, though? I always wonder. I know that there's multiple different theories and viewpoints on space and everything else around. I just wonder, what is going to happen? Are they just going to keep putting it back and putting it back if you are right? Again, because I always wonder, I would never... I wouldn't be surprised by anything at this point. There have been, fiction, truth is stranger than fiction at this point. And then we have Orange County first responders train during simulated mass casualty event. So this is something that we always cover. In fact, one of my buddies, Dave, actually told me about one that was going on in Washington earlier that I completely missed. But they were doing ads to get these people in to do these kind of things. It says that Orange County Fire Rescue Special Operations conducted some specialized training this week to prepare for a MC event, a mass casualty. Again, just that one is actually one of those big ones that they don't want you to talk about. And you wonder why. By the way, thank you, FG, June Capadonna, Feathers and Flowers. Thank you for supporting Last One's Out. Me, Puppet 007, Coucher, Bible Talk 777, Nana of Montana, Kanos Kid, and, of course, Tom Doe, Dean Mama, and Warlock Suck. And Sarah Ayana, thank you so much for subscribing just now. I appreciate you, and welcome to the Marfia. Oh, and then, forgot you, Lisa Z. Thank you for subscribing as well. What do you think about this? And if you see things like this, if you see ads for these kind of things in your local town, please screenshot them and email them to me at adam@marfooglenews.com. You can put, of course, like MCE in the actual subject, and I'll see it right away. What is even crazier is whenever I ask if people are having this done locally, I always get a mass response. Because there are so many of these going on, and they are never really talked about on a national scale, but they talk about them and they tell people on a local scale so people aren't freaked out when they see people pretending to have these kind of events. And they most likely, they always tell the local law enforcement, and then they put it out as a little tiny blurb at the very edge of the newspaper. But again, this is something that has ramped up more than in the whole time I've done this. In the last 2 years, they have been doing this kind of event specifically for the last 2 years. And I would love to see if there's anyone putting the data together on how many of these are going on at any given time here. And it's not just here. It's in Europe. It's in Australia. It's in Canada. It's in Mexico. It's all over the place. They are doing these kind of events. And, of course, there's practice for things like this, but we're talking about massive events. Orange County especially, they've got a whole lot of things that could happen. It says the training included search and rescue of patients, drones, as well as treatment on the scene and transport to Orlando Health Arnold Palmer. So they actually do the whole 9 yards. They will load them up. They will take them in ambulance to the hospital as quick as possible. They look at their times. They look at what they can do. And a lot of this, too, could be actually centered around the whole earthquake that is possible in all of these California counties. They have a massive, of course, San Andreas that could just shake up half of California. And then we have, of course, the Cascadia subduction zone that could shake up the other half. If you experienced this or saw this or participated in it, even give us a call at 224-400-MARF. By the way, I want to thank everybody. Looks like we have a breaking news, a 7+ earthquake in the Philippines. I'm going to load this up. This is breaking now, most likely given to us by Foogle Fam. Thank you, guys. Check this out. So as we're talking about it, that's a little eerie. Okay, so it looks like we have a 7+ magnitude earthquake, a huge earthquake. Anything above 7 is massive. And who knows? This might be reduced, or it might be raised. It says a 7.3 earthquake hits North Philippines, causes some damage. Now, if you have family in the Philippines, I know that there's people of all creeds and colors here. I'm praying for your families, and I'm hoping that we find out that this was a bigger earthquake, but no casualties. It says a strong earthquake shook the northern Philippines on Wednesday, causing some damage and prompting people to flee buildings in the capital. It says officials said no casualties were immediately reported. So as of now, there are little to no casualties, but again, we will update you on the situation as it goes on. And again, there's a lot of folks either know somebody or actually have in their circle of friends somebody with family in Philippines. Dex, go ahead.
And just a reminder for those who Wednesday was last week. That's across the international date timeline. So it's actually Wednesday there, even though it's Tuesday here. So that's just happened.
Wow. So this is, and it says this was just looks like it was just a few minutes ago, or that is, here's the other thing.
Yeah, I think it's been within the hour, but yes, it's recent.
Yeah, about 42 minutes or something like that. So, by the way, when you have an over 7 earthquake anywhere in the world, especially if it's on the other side of the world, if you follow earthquakes, you would know that there can be antipodes. I don't know if we exactly know if there's an antipode exactly for the Philippines, but what they have seen, and now they do know for a fact, is that one earthquake on this side of the planet can trigger an earthquake on the other side of the planet. So I definitely just keep your head on a swivel and make sure to pay attention around you. There are many areas in our viewership, especially people that live in California, people that live in Washington, Oregon. They are in a zone where they can get earthquakes. If you live on the New Madrid, you can get earthquakes. A lot of the United States actually has, there's something near them. And then over the last 3 years, we have covered some of the most random earthquakes that have happened in places that historically never have earthquakes. So, I mean, earthquakes is the one thing that almost anywhere you live, at some point you'll have an earthquake. It just depends if they are bigger earthquakes or smaller kind of little tremors. Just to do a quick poll here, how many people in the chat, I'm going to turn the chat on, how many people have experienced an earthquake? If you've experienced one, type 1 in the chat. And if you haven't experienced one, press 2. I'd like to see how many folks here have actually lived through an earthquake. And I guess press 3 if you've lived through a big one. 1 if you've lived through one, 2 if you haven't, and 3 if you've actually been in a large earthquake. It's about 50, I would say it's about 50-50 there. Lots of 1s, lots of 2s, a few 3s. 3s is like Nisqually was a big one. I went through that one. I would say 3 for myself. But, some people lived in California when they had the big ones and the freeways collapsed. Quite a few 3s, actually. Oh, wow. Somebody lived through New Zealand. See, okay. You know what? This gives me an idea. I would love to do a show wow. A lot of people 3. North Ridge, Alaska. Wow, lots. 8.2 in Guam. Some people live through the Japan. I talked to Chris Goldfinger, one of the lead seismologists for the Cascadia Subduction Zone. He was an earthquake expert that just happened to be at an earthquake seminar with a bunch of other geologists, and they were in the 9.0 plus earthquake that happened in Japan before the tsunami and everything. They were in Japan at an earthquake seminar. I mean, what a crazy story that is. And what's even crazier about his story, and my interview with him and his TED talk is really amazing if you haven't seen that. But if you look up Chris Goldfinger, pretty easy name to remember, he talks about it, and the whole room is geologists. So, seismologists, right? So everybody they were just going to continue going. But after it hit over 2 minutes and 3 minutes, everybody starts looking at their watches, and all of them know the general rule of thumb is after it goes past a certain time limit, after it goes past 3 minutes, then you're getting up into the 7.0. So that when it hit, they started timing it, and they were just continuing as normal. After it hit over 3 minutes, they were like, holy crap, we need to get out of here. Then when it went past 4 minutes, they knew that this thing was an 8 or 9 magnitude earthquake and there would be a tsunami. And all of these seismologists, imagine being in that room with everybody who's experienced, knows this, and they all just started bolting. Like every man, could you imagine being there as like a guest who didn't know anything about earthquakes, and you're like, oh, well, they're not worried. I'm fine. And then you see 200 seismologists check their watch and go, ah! Sorry, it would be pretty funny if you lived through it. But again, 15,000 people died in that event, and that's not going to be as bad as the Cascadia subduction zone, which is going to be the same size earthquake, same type of earthquake, and it will have a tsunami. A full margin rupture will take the lives of, I think, hundreds of thousands because of how close it is to metropolises. Kiwi Lass from NZ says, NZ quake and tsunami for me. Quake in Christchurch, and it says, I'm now at the Bay of Plenty, and we had the volcano and a tsunami. See, this is what I was thinking. I would love to do a show talking to a bunch of people that have lived through the biggest of earthquakes. And I think that people would find that fascinating as far as where they were, what happened when it went down, and how everything kind of played out for their friends and family wherever they were living. And then Stephen McMahon says, so we know some kind of cataclysm is coming. What are you going to do to contact each other afterwards? Stephen McMahon, that's a big question, and it's a big problem. I really like that caller that called in a couple weeks ago about the hobo symbols. And if you don't know what hobo symbols are, then go and look that up. It's actually a little kind of language that they mark things. They'll mark a tree with different icons, or they'll mark a bench or wherever. And it's actually this whole language that is not only nationwide, but apparently around the world they do it. It tells them if it's a whole wide variety of things. I think we should come up with a system like that, some sort of symbols that we could I guess communicate about situations and areas and dangerous areas and nice areas, nice people, trustworthy people. I don't know, do something like that. But it is a good question, Stephen. And then we actually have a guest video on tonight. Again, we have a short video that's going to be played. Before we do, I do want to remind everybody, this show is brought to you by Energy. Again, Energy is how I powered this whole studio. I have a Flex 1500. Now I have 2 batteries, but I actually did it for months with just 1 battery. But a Flex 1500 with 1 battery is an amazing solar generator. Again, this is absolutely silent. It does not take any gas, and it can power almost anything that you need to power in an emergency situation. But on top of that, what's great about the Energy solar generator, not only is it one of the highest quality generators on the market, not only is it one of the most coveted, it also has the ability to expand and stack in its own footprint. So you've seen others that may have, you can, connect up to 10 batteries, but you also have a 2-inch thick cable that goes from one battery to the next, to the next, to the next. And if you have even 2 or 3 batteries, you end up, increasing the footprint quite a bit. This actually has the connectors on the bottom of each unit, and it connects to the one above it. So it is a really, really cool system. But not only that, it is powered by the sun. You can hook up solar panels. In fact, you don't have to get their solar panels. You can get, it's not proprietary. So if you already have solar panels that you got off of Amazon, you can adapt them to this. And then also, I would recommend checking out their foldable, portable solar panels. If you have a Flex 1500, a battery, and 4 panels, you pretty much can you can just take it with you and put it in your trunk, take it tailgating, take it to your job site and use a drill with it. Again, this thing is absolutely amazing. And then the batteries are very simply put. They're all 1,000 watt hours, so it's really easy to do the math to figure out how much you actually need, or if you need more than one, or if you need more than 5. You can just do the math very simply of what you can do. Again, great system. Also, the great part is we now have up to $170 off on certain packages. That was not something that we got for a long time because there was actually a waiting list. Lithium in itself is a resource that is now being fought over in different places, and it's actually becoming much, much harder to get lithium batteries or the equipment, the parts that make them. So make sure to get over there and check this out. It's better to get on that list now than later. It's marfooglenews.com/energy. The wait time is just a few weeks compared to months. Some actually waited 6 months for their solar energy generator, but now the wait is much, much less. It is in a matter of weeks. I would highly recommend getting over there fast if you do want something. Again, it doesn't have to be SHTF. It can be, again, something that you use for fun, or for a disaster like an earthquake, a tornado, or any other thing. I think that this will end up saving lives. And again, I think that that's one of the main points about this, is that it is something that almost every single person could use. Make sure to use that code Marfoogle. All right, and then Dex, let's. I've loaded the piece here. If you want to introduce it and who is on it. And it looks like we're pulling it. I'm pulling it up right now.
Hey, Adam. Sorry, I was on the phone. You asked me to.
I was just asking you to introduce what the video we're about to play.
Absolutely. So, as many of you know, Survival Living, one of the great prepping and survival channels out there, he put together some information specifically around Mylar bags and how you can prep with them and some of the important things about them. So, great update.
All right, we're going to play this, and again, we'll be back right after this video.
All right, welcome back, Foogle fam. Survival Living here. So today's video, I'm actually going to be covering Mylar bags and actually the process of sealing up food. As preppers, we try to store as much food as possible. As you can see, I've got a lot here behind me. I started early this morning. I'm down here in Florida when it was still dark 30, and now the sun's out and I'm covered in sweat. So this is the end of my day. I have to work at night most of the time. So we got beans, we got flours, we got pastas, we got rice. We got a lot of stuff. Let me give you some ideas right fast. Rice. This is a 20-pound sack of rice. If you got a gallon bag, Mylar bag, you can fit 5 pounds comfortably in it. Let's see here, this one here, that's 5 pounds of beans. You can fit 5 pounds of rice and beans in a 1 gallon Mylar bag comfortably with an oxygen absorber. So with that, let me go ahead and go over a couple things with you. When it comes to rice and your beans, I recommend freezing these foods in a freezer anywhere, depends on how cold your freezer gets, between 24 to 72 hours. All right, what that does is kill any larvae that's in the eggs on your rice and beans. We've all heard of weevils. That's what's attached to your rice. If you just seal up a bag of rice, odds are in about a year you'll see all kind of little black specks moving around. That's weevils. So when you freeze it, you kill the larva. Now, you can use bay leaves to help combat and keep bugs from going to your stocks. But bay leaves are not going to kill the larva. Vacuum sealing and throwing in an oxygen absorber is not going to kill the larva that's in here. You got to freeze it, because you can vacuum seal, but they will still hatch because the larva doesn't breathe the oxygen through the egg. So it'll still hatch. That's why we freeze it. Now, after you freeze it, air dry it out, and then you can start storing your food. You don't want to put it in cold because then you have condensation build up. So right fast, let's go ahead and get into a couple of the ideas here. Spaghetti lasts much longer when you vacuum seal it, or Mylar. I've shown both. I've shown vacuum sealing and Mylar. Mylar has turned out to be the best because Mylar's thicker and doesn't puncture as easy compared to vacuum seal bags. Macaroni. What we do with our macaroni, we emptied every single container as much as we can in a bag. We also put the cheese powder with it, and then we Mylar it up with our O2 absorber. We're good to go. We know how to cook here at the house, so I don't have to sit there and worry about instructions and stuff like that, because we know how to cook. So that's up to you if you want to write down instructions and everything else. Now, as you can see, there is nothing on this. Well, this particular company that I work with, they have stickers. You can just stick it on, write down what you want, or just use a magic marker, write down the material, write down the date that it was sealed. And then you can also put down a long-term date if you want to. Personally, just put down that date that you sealed it, manufactured yourself. You sealed it all up, and you should be good. Now with rice, beans, you're looking at 25 years, as long as it's stored correctly in optimal temperatures, okay? So with that, pasta is also anywhere from 10 to 17 years, no issue. But it all comes down to storing correctly. And when I say storing correctly, that means that you do not have fluctuating temperatures, not extreme high, not extreme low. You have a baseline temperature that you can store your food. Now the question will arise, well, when the power goes out, how do you deal with the temperatures? Well, that's where solar generators, gasoline generators, at-home generators come into play. So you can actually power up stuff. So that's what we talk about. We have the availability to keep a room and our living quarters at a certain temperature. Same with our food. Oh, and by the way, I'm actually working on our outdoor kitchen. So we got spaghetti. Now, one of the things I want to show you guys, cardboard, get rid of it. You know why? I'll show you why. Palmetto bugs, roaches, they love cardboard. So do not store your food in cardboard. Transfer it into Mylar or vacuum seal it up, guys, because cardboard will attract bugs quicker than, well, I don't know what is quicker than. Let's just say they attract bugs. So with the spaghetti, we're just putting it directly in. Shake it down. Like I said, with the Mylar itself, you don't have to worry about puncturing. It lasts so much longer. I can usually get about 6 pounds quite comfortably on the 1 gallon Mylar bags. And the reason why is because I like to stack these flat. And if I decide to put it in a bucket, which we actually do a lot of, it makes it easier. I can actually maneuver it around much easier as far as bending it inside the bucket to place it in. So we got our oxygen absorber. I've got some boxes of spaghetti right here just to help level off everything. And we will set our Mylar up here ready for the strips. And I do apologize for all the sweating. It's that hot down here, and you just basically have to work at night if you're working outdoors. Lock it in place. This sealer here has got a timer on here where I can see the red light. When the red light goes off, it means I am sealed. So we're going to sit there and wait a couple seconds. Let the heat strip cool down. So another one down. We got a lot more to go. So more tips on Mylar, vacuum sealing, and other ideas for rotational stock preps, canned goods, dry goods, and also long-term food stores. Definitely check out our channel there at Survival Living. We cover weekly preps. We'll actually show you what we purchase at the store, what goes in our normal rotational stock. With any normal rotational stocks, you need to be stocking what you eat. Don't buy a whole bunch of stuff if you don't like eating it. Now, when you're hungry enough, you eat just about anything. Trust me, been there. But what you need to do is have something in your normal diet. If you like Spam, which I love Spam, I stock up a lot of Spam. Should be a nice little photo there for you. That was our last haul that we just did this week. Chicken, canned chicken, roast beef. There's all kind of foods out there. Also, if you have the availability to store fresh meat and freeze it and actually provide power to a mini fridge or a refrigerator or a deep freeze unit using solar or a wind turbine system, battery bank system, then yeah, fresh meat is also a good thing. The reason being is that we know that having fresh food is also very good for you as well. We have the availability to grow gardens, all right? We have a way of storing those foods as much as possible between canning and dehydration. So these are just some of the ideas that we work with, and we try to teach you and show you anything's possible, all right? I'm operating in an outdoor kitchen that I built. Now, when it comes down to storage, all right, it depends on your storage situation. I know storing food takes up room. So what we have here is a 5-gallon bucket. We went ahead and put a label on this. Each bag is individually bagged, individually labeled. This is all spaghetti. So with our bucket, you can either store it inside a closet just like this, or You can also bury your food. I've shown how to bury food, sealing up food, canned goods, dry goods, things like that, and putting them in the ground for storage. Stuff lasts a long time. We refer to them as survival buckets or food caches. So when you do this, you actually have to look and do some research of your local area and find out where your frost level is. Now you want to bury this bucket, you want the top of that bucket below your frost level 6 to 8 inches, okay? Basically, you just created your own root cellar. You just don't have access to it until you need it, then you gotta go dig it up, all right? The constant temperature underground stays the constant. When you're below your frost level line, 6 to 8 inches, it stays an even temperature of your area, usually about 63 degrees, and give or take, just depends on where you live at. So down here in Florida, my frost level is 6 to 8 inches. So the top of my lid goes below that. I go below my frost level. And that way when I go to pull this stuff up, it's still sealed up, it's safe, the temperature has not fluctuated, and it's good. Now with everything that you put in this bucket, don't put any loose stuff like loose spaghetti in cardboard. Don't do that. Seal it up in Mylar or vacuum seal or canned goods. Then you put it in here, you pack it down, you seal up your lids. I usually use either Gorilla Tape or duct tape. Seal up that lid. And then I go ahead and put this thing in 2 trash bags or a contractor bag. That's just to help keep any other elements from getting inside the bucket, and also protects the plastic of the bucket, make it last longer. So this is something that we actually do and teach here on our channel. So anyway guys, definitely do appreciate you hanging out with me. I'll catch y'all later.
So I know I made a lot of mistakes when I started prepping, like putting spaghetti in cardboard. Also, I told people in the very beginning, you know, when like buckets of food, I'd say, oh, I'll put it in your attic. The thing is I'm in the Northwest, and you could store your food in your attic here, but you couldn't do that in Georgia. Like where Dex lives, that's, you know, you can't do that. If it's in the attic, it's hot, and it's, of course, going to be a bad thing. So there are a ton of things that people think they know, but when you actually go to somebody like Survival Living or Alaska Prepper or these people that spend all their time researching it, there's so many tips and tricks. Just like in anything, if you are, you know, going to do crocheting, you know, you'll think you're good and you learn from your grandma. You start watching videos and you start going, wow, why didn't I ever know that? So it's a great thing to do, and I encourage everybody to start looking into this. You're not going to have Google. You're not going to have YouTube videos to watch if anything hits the fan. Now, I don't want to make people, you know, something's definitely going to happen. But it very well could, and we are in a time right now where it is getting worse and worse. And the whole point of this is not to make people afraid. It's more to desensitize people to the fear of it and to get them to prepare and get them to have extra stuff. I tell my personal friends, a lot of my personal friends in my real life, they think that, you know, a lot of them go into it thinking that this is all crazy, you know, to prep is a crazy thing to do. That's something that society has taught you. That's not what any smart person would teach you, because a smart person has their preps, has their things already lined up. So again, most of the most respectable people in the world have some sort of setup. If you look at your Billy Yates and all of these other guys, they all have bunkers, multiple bunkers. They all have prep. And at the same time, they'll say, oh, these guys are kooky. But they're the ones that have this stuff, you know, put in their houses. They're the ones who have whole 10-year supplies shipped to their, you know, secret locations. So don't let somebody who is secretly prepping tell you that it's crazy to prep. The worst thing is if we actually, you know, we're self-sustaining. So again, make sure to go check out Survival Living, and then again, make sure to go check out all of the different creators in our extended family. Again, a lot of these folks started their channel very tiny, and now they are all growing to be big. And again, someday I hope they surpass us. So again, check them out, and then check out, we're going to have a list of all the channels that have, you know, been extended family for a long time, as far as people that started in the Foogle fam, that watched my show when they were at 10 subscribers. So there's a lot of great people in this Foogle fam that have a lot of great knowledge. Make sure to use it. All right, and then thank you so much for everybody. Kiwi Last, Stephen McMahon, Lisa S, FG. I appreciate you guys. It says they look almost human-made. NOAA finds weird lines of holes in the mid-Atlantic floor. The first thing I thought of when I saw this was the red glow that just happened yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before, where the gentleman that was flying over the middle of the Atlantic, no land anywhere close, saw these gigantic red glowing splotches on the clouds. Just a few days before that, we saw this huge pinkish red glow coming out of the ground. And they said it was actually a growing operation, and the blind system that were automatic ended up raising up, and that's what lit up the entire sky with this crazy color. And I was thinking when that happened, I was like, oh, so are they going to say there was a growing up in the middle of the Atlantic? Well, now there are some pretty weird things at the bottom of the ocean. If you look at these pictures, you'll see what I mean. This looks like some sort of man-made tool or something that poked a very straight line in the bottom of the ocean. Now, if you have a theory about this, I'd love to hear it. Again, go in the chat and pop in and say if you know an animal that can do this. I thought, man, what if there was like some sort of weird crab that had a weird, limb or something that pokes the ground as it goes? I don't understand this. And again, I would love to hear your theories on it. Let me know in the chat. So again, somebody said Australia had purple skies. That's another one. All over the world, we're getting these weird events. Of course, there's people like Jason A. that put them all together. And once you see all of them put together in one place, it starts to get really freaky. Bible, they will make that happen too. It's being brought on us by the innocent, fat in pockets. Yes, it will. Swamp gas. Yes, right. That's an age old. Looks like a chain link undersea. A chain link. Could be testing sediments. The thing is, it says scientists exploring a submerged mountain range in the mid-Atlantic stumbled onto something they can't explain, an organized series of holes punched in the floor of the Atlantic Ocean. The discovery was made Saturday, July 23rd, and photos show the dots connect in nearly straight lines. And by the way, it's not just one line. It's a ton of them. It says no ocean exploration isn't yet sure how to explain it. It says we've observed several of these sublinear sets of holes in the sediment. These holes have been previously reported in the region, but their origin remains a mystery. Well, they look almost human-made. The little piles of sediment around the holes make them seem like they were excavated by something. So there is a possibility that it was some sort of animal that was going along in very exact kind of, in some sort of exact line. But you'll see it's almost like a ruler, like they are exactly the same distance away from each other. I thought of, different kinds of animals that could bury under, or you see these on the beach, but this is at the bottom of the Atlantic. They've never seen anything like it. If you're on the beach, you see those, Dex, what are those animals called? The gooey ducks? Is that what they are? The animals that end up, you see the holes in the beach and it's actually like they're oxygen holes or something. But I've not
heard of that term. I've heard of sand fleas and other little crabs, but
those things if you step on and they squirt. Maybe that's a Northwest thing. We have like these huge, I don't even know what the heck they're called, but I thought they were called gooey ducks. Either way, what could explain that? And is there something? Is this the lines of a door that's going to open up to Atlantis? What are your theories? I'd love to hear it in the comments below, or give us a call at 2244-00-MARV. That's again 2244-006273. Somebody said urchins, clams. Well, the clams isn't what I was thinking about, but again, unless that's the inside of the clams, who knows what's down there? Well, that's the thing. We know, according to knowledge, of accepted knowledge at least, that we know more about space than we do about the bottom of our ocean. That's always surprised me, and it's always just kind of made me super curious about what's at the bottom of the ocean. All right, and then if you have a theory, let me know in the chat or let me know in the comments below. If you're watching a replay, again, make sure to go down there the first hour afterwards. I usually try to check in and reply. Saudi Arabian Crown Prince maps out Noam project to house 9 million people. It says that SA wants to build a gigantic megastructure that contains a city for 9 million people. Its Crown Prince announced on Monday. It says the design takes the shape of 2 parallel buildings with mirrored surfaces rising 500 meters or 1,640 feet above sea level, taller than the Empire State Building, and stretching horizontally for more than 100 kilometers. It says they're part of the Prince's $500 billion NEOM project, a plan to turn an expanse of a desert the size of Belgium into a high-tech region. Announced in 2017, NEOM is a Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's flagship mega project. He's billed it as a test bed for new technologies that could revolutionize urban life, as a way to attract foreign investment and diversify the oil-dependent economy. But 5 years in, NEOM is plagued by setbacks, many stemming from the difficulty of implementing the prince's grand and ever-changing ideas, according to the current and former employees. A $500 billion project. These families have so much money they don't even know what to do with. Well, actually, they do know what to do with it. They're trying to make mega cities. What is crazy is most people won't care about this, but this, if it was successful or if they did have something like this, I could see them doing this in mega cities. If you know anything, if you've done your 101 truth kind of thing, then you would know about all of the different things they want to get done by 2030. Again, there's a lot of theories that we may all be in some sort of mega city at some point because of disasters or changing this or changing that they say, hey, we need you to move out of the countryside and into this building in the city, in a big city with, 40 billion people in it. If you know what I'm talking about, then you do. If you don't, look up mega cities and 2030. Mexican president calls opponents foreign agents and traitors. In a bid to stoke nationalism and justify his policies, Mexico's president has increasingly taken to calling his opponents traitors and accuse them of working for foreign governments. Analysts say President Andrés Manuel López Obrador is starting to sound more like a right-wing Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, calling anyone who opposes him a foreign agent. The issue came to a head last week when President Andrés tried to sidestep court challenges to one of his pet projects by declaring a tourist train line an issue of national security without explaining why a tourism project warranted that status. So, first of all, when you actually look into those claims, there are some weird stuff. Also, I want to point out, what if he's right? So anytime I see the media trying to make somebody look crazy or paranoid, I'm like, what's actually going on here? All I say was, when you take this, I would ask questions and actually look beyond the one article that 99.9% of people are going to read. I'm not familiar with, of course, President Obrador. I have covered him, I want to say a lot when he first got put in or got in or whatever, and some of the more controversial stuff at the very beginning, but I don't know much about him. So the one thing is most people will read an article like this, and then that's in the back of their head, and that's all they think about. They think, oh, this guy, and they've already claimed he is on a certain side of the aisle, and he sounds nuts. Anytime somebody says, oh, this person's this far this way or this far that way, and they're crazy, I'm like, okay, what are they actually claiming? So I'm just, I wonder. And by the way, we already know for a fact there are many places in the world where there are governments and things that are in charge of things. In fact, one of our officials just recently admitted that he was part of, coups. That he helped plan other coups, not the one that everybody's talking about now, but other ones in other countries. So you see this crazy, far off somewhere place that has their president replaced by force, and he's no longer on the earth. And you think, well, hold on. Did somebody related to maybe us do that, or somebody to Vlad, or somebody to Xi? And most of the time it is. So I just wonder what this is setting up for. It says pseudo-environmentalists came from Mexico City and other parts of the country financed by the government of the United States, and they filed these injunctions against us, said Lopez Obrador. It says it's an issue of national security for many reasons because a foreign government is interfering. So basically, he's saying a whole bunch of stuff, and then, of course, the media is taking their side on this one. It says activist Pepe Urbina filed one of the court challenges that stalled the Maya train project, which is cutting a swath through the jungle of Mexico's Caribbean coast. The project threatens extensive sinkhole caverns where some of the oldest human remains in North America have been discovered. It says, quote, they are slandering us by claiming we work for the U.S. government, said Urbina, who makes his living as a professional diver and denies receiving U.S. money. It is absurd, he says. The train line that is planned to run through a rough loop around the Yucatan Peninsula, connecting beach resorts and archaeological sites, Lopez Obrador has exempted it from environmental impact statements, but a judge disagreed and froze work on a 36-mile stretch of train between Cancun and Tulum. But who knows, though, it could very well go through stuff. I know that when in Seattle, they were digging the tunnel instead to replace our viaduct system downtown Seattle. They actually dug this humongous hole with a device called Big Bertha. And Big Bertha was basically a hole digger. And that hole digger kept getting stopped because it kept running into Native American human remains and different kind of, essentially fossils of things and all sorts of things. So it got set back. Maybe, I look at both sides of this. But there's more on our website about it, and it goes much, much deeper than that. So if you want to go check it out, then go over to marfooglenews.com. You'll find the entire article and what it is connected to. There's all sorts of other things in there as well. We're going to get over to the phones here in just a second. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us for this long. The best is yet to come. Again, we have our callers in queue. Again, the number is 224-400-MARF. And we may have some other breaking news. And then I do want to show a picture. I've got a picture of that fireball over Texas. So let me show you that right now. Meanwhile, get over on those phones and give us a call. So this was the fire, or one of the angles from the fireball over Texas. So if you see the video, this isn't the best one, but again, if you see the video, some said it looked like a missile. It did have a flash and it did have a sonic boom. You never know nowadays, again, with what is going on. And let's see. We have Andy, a first-time caller. Dex, will you get Andy on the phone? He's going to talk about Z's replica towns, Paris, London, and Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and ghost cities. Sounds like a great call already. I do want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/prep. If you do want to bury some food, you can go with the pre-done stuff. Again, if you don't have the time to do your own packing, again, we do recommend that you get learned on how to do your own prep and to how to store foods. You can also go over to marfooglenews.com/prep and get some pre-done kits that have everything you need food-wise for one person for amounts of time. So you can get a 72-hour kit over there. You can get a 1-month kit. You can get a 3-month kit that are all pre-packaged in Mylar. You have MREs that are then sealed in buckets. Again, if going by what Survival Living said, all you would have to do is throw it in a plastic bag and bury it. That was another thing, that frost line. I did not know that, actually, so that was actually really awesome. You can also get the Alexa Pure Pro, which is a gravity-fed water filtration system. If you don't trust what's in your water, which most of us don't, you can go over there and get one of those. Again, that is a fraction of the cost of some of the crazier big names that are overcharging for their product. The Electropure Pro does everything it does, and I believe it has a bigger capacity than most of its competitors, and it is, again, a fraction of the cost. So make sure to go check that out. The Electropure Pro, they have iodine tablets, they have battery banks, they have radios, they have survival books, because, again, you will not have Google if things hit the fan. That's marfooglenews.com/prep. When you go over there, you can get discounts on certain things, like the 3-month supply is $150 off, and you are helping our channel at the same time. Anytime you purchase from one of our affiliates, essentially they send us a commission, a kickback for sending you their way. That way you're supporting us, you're getting something that you can keep, that you can possibly save your own life with, and you're supporting your favorite channel at the same time. That's marfooglenews.com/prep. Thank you guys for supporting. All right, Dex, we have Andy on the line, first time caller. Andy, are you there?
I'm here.
Andy, it's nice to talk to you. And I am saying it right? It's
yes.
Andy with an IE.
Yes.
So you're from Wyoming, and you wanted to talk about G's ghost towns.
I did. Gosh, maybe a couple weeks ago, I had heard about these ghost cities that were being built in that land. And so I start, reading up on it. And I'm reading up about, London and then Paris. And then they said Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It about threw me for a loop. And so I thought, okay, kind of file that on the back burner. Well, then the other night on your show, I think it was, the night before last, and you had said something about the one land that is close to them, whose leader's name is Kim, about him and Red Dawn. And those aren't the only ghost cities that are in She's country. There's several of them. And but like the one in Jackson Hole, I'll just talk about that. It's filled with cowboys and stuff. And then so I start researching the picture, looking at some pictures. And I thought that I was looking at downtown Jackson.
And it looks like these ghost cities, by the way, what's crazy is we've talked about this, 4 years ago, 3 years, 5 years ago, actually now. And when people discover this, and I don't think the majority of people actually know about this stuff, it is so insane when you find out that no one lives there. They have entire metropolises where no one is. It's just completely empty. There is a great channel, by the way, Zerpenza or Serpenza. I forget if there's a number afterwards, but if you look up the ghost cities, you'll probably find his channel. Him and another YouTuber actually drove through these cities, and actually they found out quite a bit of kind of odd stuff. They've been, being made for decades, but they just added all of these huge landmarks and $1 million structures and things way later after the town was completely abandoned. So they're still adding stuff to it, like they're still going to use it at some point. There's lots of theories why they do it. They say it's because of their scandalous system of everybody owning 2 houses and having to own another piece of property, so they buy it off in some far-off area. They say it's how they scam the building and they keep construction going and keep their economy going. But I do think that it's pretty it's in your face that there's so many thousands and thousands of empty apartments. Now I think there's over 1 million apartments and 1 million homes that are just nobody's living in. Isn't that freaky?
It is. It's downright weird. I've heard of, cowboys and Indians, but I've never heard of cowboys and red dragons.
Well, so some folks have a theory, and by the way, the picture on your screen is not Paris. This is in Xi's country. Some people have a thought that basically they're building this for the world's elites, for wherever their place of choice is, and that after things are all destroyed, everybody would be there, and they would be able to go, to a place that was familiar to them after the whole kind of thing ends. You see what I mean? Like if we had a nuclear exchange, and then they would be able to live somewhere that, like they would be able to keep a piece of the culture of the world after they destroy everything.
Well, I think that's nuts. And what you were saying the other night about, the Red Dawn scenario, and then I got to thinking, well, gosh, you know what? I wonder if that's just like a rehearsal.
Was a what?
Oh, I was wondering if it was like, maybe a rehearsal of something that they wanted to do in the future.
What do you mean that? Oh, you mean, well,
like
what?
A red scenario.
Yes, but what would be the rehearsal for it?
Oh, I don't know. They could, come and jump in and wherever they wanted, strategic spots, and I don't know
Well, another thing that I have heard, and this is more rumor, and it's a speculation, and it's not confirmed. There are now people talking and saying that they are drilling in these places, so that Xi is drilling in places like the fake Paris, and they're doing. The thing is Xi and his country have actually made replicas of these things, like the Taiwanese capital in Taipei. They have made the actual building, and they are drilling on that to take that over. So they have a full-on replica that looks like it, that's the same layout and everything, and their military is using it to drill for it. In the desert, they have these full-size, at least a size replica of these metal cardboard, carriers, and that's how they practice taking out our carriers. And they're specific because they look like our carriers. I just wonder if the ghost cities also could be used for practicing how to take those cities with their military. I mean, when you look at the pictures of it, it's just absolutely nuts.
It is. It's wild.
Well, thank you for calling in. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? Again, Andy, great call.
Thank you very much. No, and I really appreciate your hard work and your show. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Andy, and it was a blessing talking to you and nice meeting you. It's your first time call. Don't make it your last, okay?
Yeah. I won't. Thank you very much. Good night.
All right. Thank you so much. That was Andy from Wyoming. So this is a photo of one of the ghost cities, all of those units, and this is just one of, I don't know how many there are exactly. I have heard that there are dozens at this point. We have talked about the kind of things that they're saying as far as how the culture works, and that if you are to get married to somebody, the parents want you to have a second property, or they want you to own a home or something. I mean, I've heard all sorts of excuses, but what do you guys think the ghost cities are for? Let me know in the comments. Do you think that they're using them for military drilling purposes? That doesn't make too much. I mean, it makes sense. They could use them for that. Do you think that they are for the inner circle of people at the very, very, very top? After the world is destroyed, they'll still have a piece of home. What do you think it is? I'd love to see it. And again, let me know. Thank you so much, Franco LLC, the Madco Group. I appreciate you for your support over on PayPal. I appreciate that. Justin H. says, thanks for the hard work you guys do. Thank you for going over to PayPal this week. I appreciate you, Justin, and thank you for supporting independent. Chris G., thank you for the support over on PayPal. And then Carrie McC., thank you so much. Last month, Lisa MK, Tiffany P., Stormy J., Dawn B, and Linda S. Thank you so much for your support as well. All right, and it says the media can fake situations in cities all over the world. Oh my gosh. Think about that one. So you could have, essentially, you could film something there and go, oh, this just happened in Paris, or this just happened in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That was something I did not know about. I did not know that they had a Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I've never been to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, so I might want to visit. Obviously, it's pretty cool if they're replicating it over there. All right, and then has Xi's population peaked? Drop in newborn screening underscores birth crisis. Dex, are you available? I know that you've got somebody lined up there. I did want to pull you in because we kind of talked about things just like this, and we talked about the apparent. They say that our population is in risk, and then they're saying that we are totally going to be overpopulated, and 3 or 4 of the countries kind of make up for almost all of that.
Yeah. Hey, Adam. This is kind of some new statistics talking about specifically how we could see in the not too distant future a decline in the population. And we've also, I think recently we were covering how India was going to take over as far as being the largest country by population due to the fact that they continue to grow. So this is kind of interesting. And we know that, for many, many years, Xi's countries had a lot of policies in place to try to, curb some of their growth. But now they're definitely seeing a significant decline. And I'm curious if they're going to do something about it, or if that's part of their, acceptable plan.
I wonder if part of that or any of that is related to the fact that everybody is locked in their homes and people aren't meeting their girlfriends or significant others or their wives and husbands because they're just not meeting them at all. I don't know. And I wonder how far this goes back. Again, the study is available with this article. If you want the article, you can just find it right over on marfooglenews.com. And then Intelligence Committee members warn U.S. of bioweapons targeting DNA of individual Americans. Where did you guys hear about this first? Or most likely first? Now, I'm not saying we broke a story to the world, but we sure as heck were talking about this a whole long time ago. And watch. Mainstream media is going to talk about this now. And this is something we've been talking about for years and people need to pay attention to. This is something that is incredibly important. They have caught Xi doing it very specifically. And it says a member of the House Intelligence Committee warned Americans to stay away from DNA testing. I won't say anything bad about the companies that do it because they're related to the companies that do it. But it's pretty creepy. Everybody's been doing this too, and some of you may have done it. You might have done your DNA test. But there were questions raised long time ago about maybe, what that would entail. You're permanently giving away the rights to know somebody knowing your exact DNA without even having to commit a crime. Before they would do a DNA test if you were suspected of taking someone's life, they would take your DNA, they would take your fingerprints, they would take your iris, they would take all your stuff. But now all they got to do is actually they don't have to do anything. You are the one who's paying $1,000 to buy a cell phone with a fingerprint scanner in it, and you're openly, scanning your irises with it, whether you want to or not, most likely. You're like, oh, it's convenient. I can open my screen. Well, they've got your fingerprint. They've got your facial recognition. They've got a camera looking at you all times of the day. And now people are paying. See, they make it like it's something that you need, you want. You can find out your weaknesses and if you're going to get cancer or not, or this or that. And you're actually paying them to take your vital information. It's pretty crazy if you think about it. The way to trick somebody into doing something is make it something where everybody else is doing it, or peer pressure, or make them think that they need to have it, when in reality, you probably don't want to. That's just my opinion. As far as doing your DNA, I bet a bunch of you have actually, found some really cool stuff in your DNA. I know one of my family members found out they had all sorts of stuff. One of my family members thought they were native their whole life. Married in members. They thought they were native. Their mom thought they were native. They found out they're not native whatsoever. Maybe it got mixed up in the mail or something, but turns out they're not native at all, and they named all their kids native names. It's kind of funny, actually, but not a single ounce of native. They got tricked. It's probably by a dad like 4 generations back that was like, yeah, I'm native, because he was, tan or something. I don't know. But I will say this, the DNA, if they have that with today's technology and with how they've been weaponizing it, it's very scary. And it brings you to think about just the last few years and what's going on. It says people will very rapidly spit into a cup and send it to 23andMe and get really interesting data about their background, he added. Young folks have very little expectation of privacy. That's what's polling. That's what the polling and the data show. You can't have a discussion about this without talking about privacy and the protection of commercial data, because expectations of privacy have degraded over the last 20 years. Do you understand what they've done to our society? Is now by the way, most people, even when we found out about the Edward Snowden thing, said, well, I'm not committing any crime, so I don't care. If they want to watch me, I've heard so many people say that, like, oh, I'm just an old lady. They don't want to watch me. What are they going to watch me naked or something? Good luck for them. But it's the fact that everybody as a group and globally we've accepted it, that we're being watched, tracked, traced, listened to by our own devices that we're paying them to listen to us with. It's pretty sad, actually. And now the younger generation, if you have any of them in your family, you would know they want every last part of their life on camera, on Snapchat, on TikTok. And they have no expectations of privacy. In fact, they want as many people as possible to be watching them. What's funny is I don't tell anybody I do this. I've met people that, like, they go up to people at the coffee shop and tell people what they do and this and that, and they tell everybody they do YouTube and they do this and they do that. I'm not that person at all. Almost no one I know knows what I do. Like, I don't want people to think that I'm some sort of thing on the internet, I'd rather just be a normal person. But these kids nowadays, they all want to be some sort of online celebrity, and what has come with this is the expectation for privacy is completely gone. So I wish globally we would just wake up and just say no. And then actually that's a different place, but actually that was on, I want to say that's on our web only. And then, by the way, I'll just read that headline because it is over there. Again, Xi trying to study Vlad's failures. CI director wouldn't rule out near-term Taiwan invasion. And it says Crow, a former Army Ranger, then argued that once a person's DNA is gathered by a private company, that company then can sell it. Plain and simple. The thing is almost every single app you have, including once you have signed off and you get something for it, you get this content for free, right? Well, not only are they serving you ads, but they're also serving, they're getting that data. That's why there was a problem with COPPA and the children's channels, because of how much data was being collected. And back when the COPPA thing happened, the adpocalypse and all that, a couple years ago, they realized that little 6-year-olds that their mom or dad would put them in front of the tablet, they had their data getting collected by this monster of an algorithm. And what happened is they had all sorts of data on kids that were younger than 13. So that's why they came in and they changed everything. And now they caused a ruckus in all of the platform. This is the same thing. I mean, it's crazy that we're chiming in and asking people to take our information. It's nuts. I ran to the store. Will keep IAEA cameras turned off until nuclear deal is restored. The surveillance camera is displayed during a news conference about developments related to the IAEA's monitoring and verification work in Vienna, Austria, on June 9th. It says, I ran to the store. Will keep the UN nuclear watchdog's cameras off until a 2015 nuclear deal is restored. It says the head of the country's Atomic Energy Organization said on Monday. It says that the country informed the International Atomic Energy Agency that it had removed all of the equipment, including 27 cameras installed under the 2015 pact, after the agency passed a resolution criticizing Tehran in June. It says, quote, we will not turn on the IAEA cameras until the other side returns to the nuclear deal. So right now, whether you believe they're doing something shady or not, nobody's going to know about it because they cannot monitor what is going on in there. So that's why many preppers and the people that do follow this stuff just have it in the back of their head and make sure to kind of think about these scenarios, because right now it is a possibility. Right now the cameras are off. If they did do something or did have some sort of revelation or they had something work out, nobody would know. That's why they were monitoring them in the first place. They wanted to make sure they were not able to get to a point where they could make nukes. Far from UKR, Russia plans big Eastern games next month. So this is something you need to very much so pay attention to. And if you're not subscribed to us, make sure to press subscribe in the lower right-hand corner. Press that red button. Press all notifications, because we'll be following this. If you don't know why you should be following all of the war games, it's because these games at any point could turn into a real deal event. They have used in history these exercises, especially the big ones, to cover actual movement of troops and actual the starts of things. That's why many people in this niche actually pay attention to it. It says that Vlad plans to hold strategic military exercises in the east of the country starting next month, the defense ministry said on Tuesday, thousands of miles from the conflict in UKR. We talked about this before. The Vostok East exercises will take place from August 30th to September 5th. They appear intended to send a message that Vlad, despite the costly 5-month conflict in UKR, remains focused on the defense of its entire territory and capable of military terms of sustaining business as usual. Now, I want to point out, we covered the war games that happened at the border of UKR, and that's what they were called. And I almost want to say it was Vostok West. So this very well could be the setup. This could be a way for them to move hundreds of thousands of troops to a different border somewhere else and then move in. So within this month, people need to pay attention, and that's why I'm saying share this one out. That's why I'm most likely going to be doing a video with that and then the ISS and all of that other stuff. So make sure to share. I'm going to do a shorter video so you guys can share this out, get the most important information out without having to watch a 2-hour show. But again, I hope you guys do bring in some extra people to the channel. I really do appreciate it. Again, we may have freedom of speech, but we don't have freedom of reach. All right, Dex, let's get our next caller on the line. It looks like we have Christy, a first-time caller. Christy, well, you get on the line, going to talk about experience with the mass cash events and the training, calling from California. I do want to remind everyone, if you want to protect yourself against a legitimate EMP, an EMP done from another country or another adversary, or if you want to protect yourself from a CME, the natural kind that comes from the sun, the solar flares, or the coronal mass ejections that a lot of folks talk about, then you can actually do so with an EMP Shield. This company has actually been contracted with agencies like DHS, DOD, and is now on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. Again, this was actually mentioned in the 2018 DHS EMP Resilience Report by Department of Homeland Security. This device, what it does is it grounds the signal from a CME or a EMP in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your device, whether that be your car, your motorcycle, your boat, your RV, your house, which it can be wired into, your generators, your solar generators. Again, they actually make one for energy generators as well. And it also can protect against ham radios. There's all sorts of different things you can get this for. They make a device for each one of them. Go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right, and then I do want to say thank you. Somebody asked a question. Actually, they posted. Let's see here. I want to make sure I don't miss that. So thank you for commenting, and I hope you're still here. Let's see here. Somebody made a question about their energy. They said that they ordered it back in March. So I do want to address that. So let's see here. And it looks like Survival Game. Hey, thank you so much for supporting. You know you don't have to do that. It says, I found my biological father using Ancestry DNA. No regrets. Again, that's the thing. That's the positive side. One of my half sisters does not know who her father is, and that's something she's thought about as well. I wouldn't hate her for it. And then Natalie D, much love to Adam Dex and the Marfia. Thank you to the best mods on YouTube. Thank you so much. And then Tamara Morgan, thank you for the support. No comment. Thank you so much. You can always write something there as well. And then Me Speaking 75 says, big supporter of the show. Keep doing what you're doing. Thanks to Adam Dex and the mods. Thank you, Me Speaking 75, and thank you for sticking around. You've been around a while now. Waken Believer says, I bought my energy generator back in March, and I'm still waiting for it. So I don't know what's up with that, but again, if you reach out to us, we can actually try to be a middleman and ask what's going on. Most people are only waiting about a month now. I do know that people waited upwards of 6 months in the beginning, but it does not depend on energy. The thing is, energy in almost every solar generator company right now that deals with lithium, they actually have to get it from other countries. And that's so crazy about this is we are now a lot of different resources we are dependent 100% on other countries for, or at least in some cases, again, antibiotics, 97% of all of the active pharmaceutical ingredients that go into them are from Xi's country. It's like, what the hell? So, and it's in high demand. That should tell you something when it is in that high demand. But if you want to email me or Dex, adam@marfooglenews.com or dex@marfooglenews.com, usually Energy will just handle, if you have a question about it, let them know. I know that people bought them a while back. They did have that wait, and they had their spot in line. And then thank you, Awaken. I appreciate that. And we can try to do whatever we can to expedite that. But again, there is certain weights that just can't be overridden. Lunacy Prepper, 4.9 earthquake in Atlanta on my birthday, 2003. It was crazy for an inland Georgia quake. Dex, did you go through that one? We'll have to get your thing on that. And then Be Real Beast, North Ridge when I was little. Then Ridgecrest just outside of Barstow where I was living. Last major one, I would love to call in letting you know how my pool was dancing. And I thought my Harley was going to fall over. God bless. Be real. I would love to hear from you. Yeah, let's do it. I want to do one of those shows. All right, let's get Christy. We have Christy on the line. And then Dex, if you do want to chime in, I would love to hear if you were part of that 2003 earthquake.
I was.
So, okay. So, Christy, let's let's
Hi.
talk about it. So you wanted to talk about, you have experience in these mass events, and I'll pull up the word on the screen here.
Yeah.
So what, have you done them or what?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Are you
I
able
can
to hear me
just-
now?
Yeah. It might have a delay,
Okay,
but
great. I'm sorry.
you're fine.
A little bit of delay. Yes, I actually back in late in 1999, I was in paramedic school, and I worked as a paramedic until 2009. I had the opportunity to help teach some EMT basic classes. I volunteered with a search and rescue team with our local sheriff's office, and I had an opportunity to do some of these mass casualty training events.
Now, when you do these they try to make it as real as possible, correct?
Yes, they do. They try to do it as real as possible. Typically, they get students from high school. Quite frequently, you'll get drama club students. You'll get explorers from Explorer Posts, like the fire explorers or the ambulance explorers. They will come in and they will dress them up and put fake blood all over them and everything, and just like that. And that will be they lay them out, and you have to go in and you have to assess who needs the treatment the most, who you expect to survive, who you're pretty sure isn't going to make it,
So
who's walking wounded, and then.
So basically, like I see this guy with a piece of paper, and I'm thinking that's probably his description. So he probably has a piece of paper that says, you have a leg injury, your femur is broken, and you have a puncture mark on your right side. And then basically the people go over, they check in with what that is, and then they code them, like, code yellow, code red. What are the different codes in that mean?
Okay, the different codes in that, back when I did this, it would be, you'd start off with black. If they had the black tag, that'd be expectant. Red would be immediate. Yellow would be delayed, which means that they could wait, but they can't wait too terribly long. Then there's green, which means they can wait a while. And then there's the kind of the walking wounded, that they're just kind of, they can almost get themselves to the hospital. You can walk onto a bus, and they can go to a hospital that way if you're running out of resources.
Now, when you said black is expectant, that means they're going to die? They're going to perish?
Yes, that means you're expecting them to die.
Oh, Lord. Now,
if you see,
go ahead.
No, it's one of the things where it's based on, now when you're doing these triage type of situations, you're looking at the patient, the whole package. If the patient cannot maintain their own airway, you're not going to stop and do CPR on that person. Even if they've still got a pulse, if they can't maintain their own airway and you don't have the resources to maintain that airway for them, they're black. You have to move on.
So you choose who, in a way, when you're doing this, you're choosing who's going to die.
Well, yes.
Or, well,
no.
I should put it this
to,
way. You're choosing who is most likely to live.
Yes. You're choosing who's most likely to live. Yeah. That's the sad thing. And you're also, it's based on many things. And one of the biggest things is the resources available.
Now, have you ever...
And if you don't have enough resources, yeah.
Now, because of your experience with this, have you ever seen where one of these events coincided or happened before a real event happened?
No, I haven't. However, we have had events where it was based on prior events that had happened. Sometimes it was based on, hey, this event had happened. We need to... let's go ahead and do an MCI. It's called a mass casualty incident. We'll do an MCI drill based on this type of event, so we can kind of learn from it and learn what we did, what was done wrong, what was done right, in honestly a less stressful environment. Because when it's the real thing, there's sights and smells and sounds. There's things that you'll never get out of your head. And but when you're doing these events, it's very, very structured, very, very coordinated. Everything is actually relatively calm, and you're pretty much just going through the motions, basically doing a dress rehearsal for these events. And in case that this, say, a similar event in the past is happening, you're doing it. You're kind of redoing it to see if you can, how you would do it better next time.
Because people in these are probably, I'm sure they're going, oh, or something, but they're not screaming like, they just got their leg taken off. They're not really, that's a real event where you hear people screaming everywhere, and it's horrifying. So this is so you practice it, get it down. Yeah. So when the real event happens, you've kind of practiced it, and it's a muscle memory type of thing. Like, you've got it down, and you're just thinking the next step.
Yes, and it builds it. It's actually, honestly, I know this sounds really grim, but usually afterwards there's a barbecue at the end of these events. If you get a group of kids that are from the drama club, they can get really into it, and they can kind of make you work for it. With the screaming and yelling and being combative and things like that, but they're not going to be anywhere near as bad as somebody with like a brain injury or somebody who just lost their child that you're trying to get under control in a real type of situation.
Wow. I can't even imagine. One of the photos I pulled up, it showed basically a doll on the ground, but it was supposed to, of course, symbolize a real, just child scattered there, and that's the kind of stuff that they run into in real life events, and I just couldn't imagine. I never. Yeah. I had an ex that was an EMT, and I could not believe the stuff that when she was learning how to do it, she watched the most horrible videos because she was supposed to. I mean, like, there was stuff that she had to watch and see that I just couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine doing that as a regular thing.
Well, the thing is, too, is you got to remember, it's not really a regular thing. These events don't happen all the time. These MCIs that happen, there may be a couple a day, but throughout an entire nation, that's really not a whole lot. In reality, I think in about 10 years, I think I've been through, and when we talk about MCI, we're talking about 5 patients or more. That's the standard for multiple casualty incident. 5 patients or more. But once you get past that 5, which is the big one, that's when you're talking about strain of resources. That's when you're talking about, how far away is your next ambulance. And the first unit in, their job is not even really to touch the patients as much as it is to go and start deciding which patients get the care first.
Well,
and then they transfer the care to the next arriving unit.
And by the way, I listened to one of these live the other night. A Fogle family member from Washington sent me a link to, said that there's an MCI an MCI going on right now. And it was north of Seattle. I want to say Auburn, or no, it was in Renton. And I actually forgot to put the update on the Twitter about that. So apparently after a large party, there were at least 7 that were hit. And there was 1 that perished, and then 6 others that were hit. And it was a bang bang event. And essentially, the scene was spread over 3 different blocks, and I was just in time to catch the police scanner, and they said, circle back around, look for more patients, and then they said, I just found another one, and my wife and I are listening to this, and we're like going, holy crap, because we counted, we're like, wait, there's 7 people here that have been hit, and they were talking about it. So that would technically be considered an MCI with 7 victims. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly it. And the fact that I didn't hear anything about it on the news is a little bit disturbing.
Oh yeah, they were rolling around finding people everywhere. They said that they were scattered They said one's under a car. Keep circling around. You'll find more. This is what the people on the dispatch are saying. Keep circling. You will find more. And apparently over 700 shots were fired or something. I mean, it was just insane. So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I'll make sure to add that. I did find an update to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is that those types of situations, you're not going to get that immediate response for EMS or fire because the police have to secure the scene. And if something like that is spread that far out and they have to secure that much of an area, that's going to take you a while. You're going to have delayed care getting to those patients. And that's because, well, you don't want to have more injured, you don't want to have paramedics and firefighters and more cops getting banged and wind up having an even bigger problem than what you've originally responded to. So that is a real sad, horrible situation. I will say though, I did when I was with the sheriff's office, a search and rescue team. It was just an all volunteer mountaineering search and rescue team. We'd go up there with the backpacks and go help look for lost people when I was young and fit, and had a lot of fun. It was a great way I met my husband that way. We were on a major training, and we were up there. They called everybody in and said, "Hey, we got a real situation," and then we all left one site, and then the whole group in a big old caravan went to an actual search and rescue event where we were actually able to find the person. So those types of things have happened. I do believe, though, that a lot of those types of situations that I've been involved with are more divine providence than anything otherly.
Well, it's definitely a very interesting subject. When you think of this kind of event, you think of something like what happened in, of course, Vegas at the concert, and just all this other crazy things that have happened over the last few years. But yeah, it's different because how media covers it, they pick and choose which ones to cover. And it's like, again, you didn't hear anything about this. 7 people were scattered across 3 blocks and nobody talked about it. This was not anywhere on the news, but like I just showed you right there was an update, and people were, down on the ground over 3 blocks. They were just firing at everybody. So it's like, where's the national coverage of that?
And the thing is you're telling everybody that you can, but the people in your area, they're not getting that information that, hey, you need to get your heads down, folks. This is some. If you're just now hearing it, it doesn't sound like they sent out an emergency alert to the people to say, hey, there's danger in your area, lock your doors.
No,
and that's a fail on the news.
They didn't send anything, and they didn't have anything until way after. And the Citizen app, which is another one that is powered by the people, it's like the Citizen app was before the news. It's like, how do they, they just don't care depending on the situation. Well, definitely very, very interesting. Again, thank you so much, Christy, for giving us a point of view that we normally don't have. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you so much. There is one bit of information, if I could give to Dex on my way out. It's something I got from somebody high up that I think could affect preppers, but I'd like to give it to him, and you guys can decide if that's important.
Okay, so Dex,
text me.
I can mute the line though too for a couple minutes. If you just want to do that
okay. Well,
I'll jump on the line with Christy.
That sounds perfect.
Off of here.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Adam. You have a wonderful night.
Absolutely. Thank you, and God bless you, and thank you for thinking of us for the info. All right. That was Christy. Again, if whatever is something that we can't tell. That's another thing. If you want to tell us info and you want to make sure, if you make it clear to us that it can't go out to the public, we don't. We never have. We're not like, what do you call it? Where, just care. We're not here to bust out, be the first ones to say something if it ruins somebody's life or makes them lose their job or something. That's not how we work. There was stuff around that boom boom event that happened in Mississippi or Tennessee or whatever that was outside the AT&T building with the RV that went boom. We had information that could have put us on every news channel in the world, and we didn't say it because somebody would have lost their job. Again, that really had connections to everything, and I don't think a lot of people realized it. Dex.
Adam, while I'm talking with her offline, there is an update, and this had gone out today. I put it in Screener around an update with New York City's emergency management, specifically a link that they had posted on some of their social media, and I also have a screenshot of one of the tweets that they put out. But the one link, it's pretty interesting what they're driving. They're obviously pushing this out and telling people to go read that. So if you want to pull that up, it might. It's pretty important.
And then we have a post that was. Okay, so this is this is something that nobody would really pay attention to unless they were looking. And then Ready New York, my emergency plan. Is this right, Dex? And then, okay, so it says my emergency plan is a workbook designed. Advanced warning system provides alerts. Is this regarding the system they think that's going to go out if something happens? I'm just wondering if I have the right thing here.
Yeah, the link that you're showing is a link that they posted on social media today, and it is outlining things like go bags, evacuations, sheltering considerations. It's a lot of preparedness information, and they put this out as a social media post. The other link that I gave you is a screenshot of just one of the social media posts specifically about go bags that they put on Twitter. This is the same organization that did the PSA we talked about a couple weeks ago. So this is, on one hand, you say, yeah, it's the emergency management group. That's what they're supposed to do. But then this is not something we've actually seen from them in a long time, if ever. So this messaging around, getting go bags together, where do you need to shelter? What do you need to do? All of this is starting to come out from that same organization that put out the PSA that we talked about 2 weeks ago.
So again, and I like how, okay. So I'm pretty sure they used a stock image because I guess their go bag consists of 4 Xbox controllers, Game Boys, and a Nintendo Switch. I get the rubber ducky, but I don't know. Hopefully any of those will even work. But yeah, I guess it would be good to have those for the kids if there's an emergency. But yeah, non-perishable snacks. But here's the thing. It's not just like, oh, here's the little notice. If you haven't followed our previous shows, they just put out a very rare and very odd video PSA about a nuclear weapon has just been fired at New York. What do you do? And now they're putting out a ton of different PSAs, basically telling people to have a go bag to get ready, specifically New York. Remember, we also read documents and things over the last 3 years of releases that said that New York was this big hot spot that they think is under, there's a lot of different people talking about it. And then, of course, the Boom Boom dogs sniffing all of the New York subways. They also have been drilling a ton, releasing certain things into the subway that aren't harmful, at least that's what they say, and seeing how it would spread through the subway system. They're doing all sorts of drills specifically there. So I am hoping that it's just all, just practice makes perfect, right? But make sure you get your rubber floor puzzles in that go bag. It's funny is there's not a single piece of food in the picture or anything. Just toys and pencils. But I do see the point of that though, like having, include your kids in the go bag. What are they going to need? Another things that you need that people don't think about is having extra medicine if you have it, like asthma inhaler, things like that. Again, these are things, or people that have CPAP machines. If you have a CPAP machine, how are you going to power it? How, you need certain things to survive. Some people, they need a CPAP or they would die in their sleep. So make sure to go check that out. This and everything else from today's show is linked over on marfooglenews.com. You can find all of the callers' info over there as well. If you want to remember a piece or a video or a picture, that is all there. Dex.
And Adam, I have the update from Christy, so I kind of got it down to something we can say on air specifically without breaking any sources. But basically what they were trying to convey is there's an obvious paramedic shortage, specifically in probably the state of California, but this is probably going on in lots of different places. But in this one example, they were offering $100,000 salaries and bonuses, and they still can't get people to sign up because a lot of them are burned out on this. So there's this notion that if we did have a major event, do we even have enough resources to help?
There's not going to be enough people to do it. That basically they're going to be saying, hey, is anybody a doctor here? And they're going to let them jump in.
Exactly.
If they don't have enough EMTs to take people to the hospital, then the people that are still there and stuck there that are, on site, they're going to be labeling a lot of people a code black, basically. So a lot of things to think about from today. I hope you guys enjoyed the short clip, and again, great show today. Thank you guys for joining us. Dex, thank you for your service today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam. And real quick, Wicked World had called in and had a lot of phone issues and couldn't get on. She captured an interesting video. We're going to be putting that on the website, so you guys can go take a look at it. I'll try and get it updated in the next few minutes so it's there. But it was an anomaly in the sky that she had captured. So I just wanted to shout that out for her. Since she had so many technical issues trying to get through the phone system and kept dropping. So, but thank you, Wicked World, for bringing that to us.
Yes, thank you so much. And Wicked World, we can get you on the next call-in show, no problem. Again, we always offer that. If something goes on your end or our end, we always make sure to do that. Dex, will you go over the overflow content? There's a ton. There's a lot of great stuff people need to be paying attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. So head over to marfooglenews.com. That's where you're going to find everything. You just click on the thumbnail for the show, as Adam said in the beginning. But if you missed it, go to marfooglenews.com. Click on that thumbnail. If you're on YouTube, so easy. Just open the description. All the links are there. Anything you're looking for, it's right there. But the first link is show notes. It'll take you right here to this page. You're going to find all the news articles we just covered. You're going to find the video from Survival Living. You're going to find updates from the callers, which will be just in a few moments. I got to get that finished, including the video I was talking about from Wicked World. You're also going to see this section called Overflow, this yellow bar. That's the rest of the story. Everything else we couldn't cover. There's lots going on, lots of updates there specifically around things that were happening in the political spectrum. There's always some stuff happening there. So you'll definitely be able to get caught up to date on what's happening. Lots of things around the economics. We've been covering a lot of economic issues there. We've covered some on the show. We add some others that are down here in this section. You'll find a lot of economic updates. Even some updates going on around some things that people do recreationally and things that are not recreational that are happening, as well as some of the elites and what's going on with them and what's been happening, who's selling what changes are going on, like Zuck and others are in the news. And even everyone's favorite doctor is once again in the news. He's always in the news. But all of that and so much more right there on marfooglenews.com. Again, click on the thumbnail for today's show or open that link in the description on YouTube, and it's called Show Notes.
And on a more serious note, I love you. Thank you guys, and thank you, Dex. I appreciate you. Thanks everybody for supporting our show. Thank you for being here every day. Thank you for the attendance that everybody has. We would be nothing without you guys. Again, thank you, and thank you. Over on D-Live, I want to special thank you to Kimbria, Dootsy Bug. Thank you for gifting a badge to Shield of Arms. Vicky K, thank you so much. Big shout out to Maui Racing Realtor. Enjoy each day. Tomorrow is negotiable. Yeah, and not promised. Yobi, thank you. Hi, all. Gem, Chance Paladin, thank you. Make sure to go check out Chance Paladin's books. Make sure to go check out J Stone's art. Again, J Stone has a website where you can purchase her art. Make sure to go check her out. She's really, really good painter. I love her stuff. She's done really cool stuff. Make sure to go check out Trinity. She has a great channel. CJ Blaze has a great channel. You have Bones has a great channel. All of my mods have really great channels. Again, Lisa R. Hall does lives. Make sure to go check her out. She is the sweetest woman in the Fogle family, other than our official Grandma's Ann Lynn show. Make sure to, and if you missed it, Alaska, and then a Prepper, he ended up getting a 7-day timeout. So if you're wondering where he is, he'll be back in 7 days. And thank you, everybody. Thank you. Much love to everyone. Over on YouTube, I want to make a quick shout out. Florida RN, thank you for your super thanks that was done post show, which is really cool. We can even do that. The super thanks on Seriously Prepared. Thank you for doing that. Says, thanks. Watch you on my way back to work at 5 a.m. Thanks, Adam, Dex, and Mods. And Humble Hashmaker says, great shoutro tonight on Seriously Prepared. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. And love you guys, and thank you. And we will see you all over on Marfoogle News. Make sure to go check out the other channel. I will be doing a short video just kind of getting the point out. And now I have a couple things to add to that video. So thank you. Tamara Morgan, thank you. I appreciate your support. And everyone else that just popped in, thank you. A little bit late, but again, thank you. RL Grulke, Honey Badger Worthy, Extinguish Shiffy, K Croc. We've got Killing It and Grilling It, Raquel R. Bandy Bear, thank you for the super sticker, and everyone else. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.
only son for me, just so I can live some more. Only man that I adore, once more a crown of thorns.
On the boogie loco, I know we the Trinity with your I ho. James right tonight, Ebenezer Storm, Rains World Vega, Salat. I can't see Aka. We the